Thank you, Dan, and welcome everyone to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship at Stony Brook's online service. I hope you all, um, anybody that lost power on Tuesday, has it back by now. I think some might not, so I'm very sorry for you. My name is Joan Rubenstein, and I am happy to be serving as worship associate today. Our service leader is a member of our congregation, Doris Diamond. Our Director of Religious Education is Deb Little, and our minister is Margie Allen. Margie is on vacation now, but she will be back in the pulpit on August 23rd. Doris Diamond taught elementary school for 33 years and began seriously studying the tarot after her retirement. She is an avid traveler and has explored parts of many countries in 6 continents. She has been married to Joel for 53 years, and they have one son, Scott, who's a music teacher for young children with special needs. In the last decade, Doris discovered photography as a creative outlet. She combined her love of divination with her love of photography and created an oracle deck, Gaia's Vision, which was published by Schiffer Publications in their Red Feather collection. You'll have another chance to see Doris's work later on in the program. Well, what a year it has been. We can't get to we can't seem to get from one week to another without another major tragedy unfolding. We still have people thinking that Black lives don't matter. We still have about 1,000 people a day dying from the coronavirus in the U.S. alone. We still have tens of millions of people unemployed. What's next? What's next was a deadly explosion in Beirut, Lebanon, killing over 100 people and injuring even more, set off by a very flammable chemical stored incorrectly. What's next was a video of young black children hogtied face down on the pavement while police were checking if the car was stolen. What can we do? Well, for starters, we just have to spread our thoughts and blessings a little wider and keep working on doing whatever it is that we can do to improve or change what we can. And besides that, vote and fill out the census. I want to offer a special welcome to any of you who are visiting here for the first time or who still feel like newcomers. Both our online and in-person services vary a great deal from week to week. We hope that you will continue to join us online until we resume meeting face-to-face in our beautiful sanctuary on Nichols Road in Stony Brook, or East Setauket, you might call it. Unitarian Universalism is a liberal religion. There is no set dogma that you must believe to be a UU, but we do have 7 principles that we strive to follow. To learn more about us, you can go to our website, uufsb.org. I'll say that again, uufsb.org. I invite you to light your chalice or any candle you have when I light mine, and I encourage you to sing along with the hymns. As usual, we will leave the chat open at the end for a virtual coffee hour. This requires us to restore the audio and video for each attendee individually, so please be patient for the minute or so that this will take. We will again be holding small group chats, which provide the opportunity for some real conversation. To join the small group chat after you have said your hellos to everyone in the coffee hour, please say your goodbyes and leave this meeting. Then go to the separate meeting for small group chats. That link is posted on our website, uufsb.org, and also was included in yesterday's special news feed. Now, with the sounding of the morning bell, let us enter into the sacred space of worship. After I light our chalice, I will read you the words of Julian Lepp entitled Open to Unexpected Answers. We seek our place in the world and the answers to our heart's deep questions. As we seek, may our hearts be open to unexpected answers. May the light of our chalice remind us this is a community of warmth, of wisdom, and welcoming of multiple truths. Yesterday and Thursday were the 75th anniversary of the nuclear bombings of Nagasaki and Hiroshima. So before we start with the main theme of the service, I offer this affirmation that I recently came across at a peace vigil. I apologize, but I do not know the name of the author. Please join me in reading it if you like. We who live in the shadow of the mushroom cloud, we whose bones and lungs are threatened even now by radioactivity, today declare our hope in the future. From the diversity of our cultural and religious traditions, we have come to renew our belief in the wholeness and holiness of the earth and the sanctity of all life. We declare we are at peace with all people of goodwill. We need no leader to define for us any enemy, nor to tell us what we need security for and defense against. Instead, we affirm that our Earth's security rests not in armaments, but in the justice of adequate housing and food, in the justice of meaningful education and work, in the justice of an economic order that gives everyone access to our Earth's abundance, in the justice of human relationships nourished by cooperation, in the justice of safe, clean, and renewable energy, instead of the perils of nuclear power. We affirm people over property, community over privatism, respect for others regardless of sex, race, or class. We choose struggle rather than indifference. We choose to be friends of the earth and one another rather than exploiters. We choose to be citizens rather than subjects. We choose to be peacemakers rather than peacekeepers. We choose a nuclear-free future, and we will settle for nothing less. We unite ourselves with sisters and brothers the world over, join together in communities of resistance to the nuclear threat. We unite ourselves with trust in the spirit of life. Justice and love can overcome the machines of destruction. Before us today are set life and death. We choose life, that we and our children may live. Let it be so.
The opening words today are from Mary Oliver. Truly, we live with mysteries too marvelous to be understood. How grass can be nourishing in the mouths of the lambs. How rivers and stones are forever in allegiance with gravity, while we ourselves dream of rising. How two hands touch and the bonds will never be broken. How people come from delight or the scars of damage to the comfort of a poem. Let me keep my distance always from those who think they have the answers. Let me keep company always with those who say, look, and laugh in astonishment and bow their heads. For our first hymn, we will be singing number 90, From All the Fret and Fever of the Day. Please sing at home and imagine you're hearing the whole congregation singing with you. We now come to the part of our service for meditation. I invite you all to relax a bit, sit back, take a couple of deep breaths. And for today, rather than asking people to keep their eyes closed, I invite you to keep your eyes open while we look at a tarot card that was designed by Joanna Pal Colbert. As you look at the card, ask yourself, are there any words that come to you right now? Is there a message? Is there a message for the world in general? Is there a message for our congregation? What does this card mean to you?
Thank you, Bethany. One of our spiritual practices is to take a collection each week, which we share with a local nonprofit agency working for social justice. Because of the exceptional food insecurity this year due to the coronavirus and all its effects on jobs and the economy in general, we have been committing the social justice portion of our Share the Plate donation from May through August to emergency food assistance. 80% of the social justice portion of the donations will be given to Island Heart Food Pantry in Middle Island, and 20% will be given to the minister's discretionary fund for members of our own congregation who need food assistance. Please continue to be generous, both with your pledges and your Share the Plate donations. So you've got your $10 bill for your Share the Plate donation ready and a $100 check towards your pledge. Now what? There's no plate going around to put them in. And yes, you are looking at a computer monitor, not an ATM. What to do? You can use the ailing U.S. Postal Service for your check, or you can use the donate button on our website. More details are in the special news feed emailed yesterday. One more important thing, though. Please indicate on the memo line of your check where you want your money to go, i.e., pledge, share the plate, social justice only, whichever.
It was a pleasure sharing that video with all of you. I hope you enjoyed it. These past Sundays, I've so much enjoyed hearing so many different ways to tune into the spiritual. For me, spiritual touches on our inner life, as well as being attuned to the mystery, the essence of the natural world, Our opening words were a poem by Mary Oliver. I share her sense of wonder and astonishment. I became acquainted with tarot cards over 30 years ago. At that point, I did not think of myself as a spiritual person. I didn't feel any resonance with my Jewish religion, but still did feel part of the Jewish cultural identity. My feminist politics told me to look for a tradition that honors the divine feminine. I needed to be shown that there was something outside of myself guiding me and something greater than what I could see or touch. I could pretend that the ancient goddesses and reimagine rituals were that something, but I was much more inclined to think of them as archetypes that reflected the needs of their different cultures. At that point, I found the Mother Peace Tarot cards by Vicki Noble. I was seeking, as our first wisdom source says, quote, direct experience of that transcending mystery and wonder, affirmed in all cultures, which moves us to a renewal of the spirit and an openness to the forces which create and uphold life. For me, the Mother Peace Tarot cards provided that link. I am constantly in awe of how a simple act of picking a tarot card opens up doorways to the essence of being human, the journey we all take in becoming who we are meant to be. I can't explain why so frequently just the right card appears to give me insight into my struggles, hopes, and dreams, and way of being in the world. I can't say that they saved my life, but I can say they enriched it and helped guide me through moments such as serious illness, friendship losses, decisions about retirement, and beyond. I felt that spirit was choosing the cards and helping me interpret them. It wakes up my intuition. I feel that they are part of the conversation my conscious self, my intuitive self, and the cards themselves are having. Donna Hernes says, quote, it is like most spiritual systems, operates from a philosophy of free will. The tarot offers a way to understand the wisdom of your own soul. It offers guidance so you can see and hear the answers that are within you already. The tarot points out your patterns. It points out where the energy is, how you might be blocking yourself, what talents you can explore. So tarot is not really fortune telling. It is fortune creating. Tarot cards began their life as a card game that the wealthy worlds would play with hand-painted cards. From there, they evolved into a means of divination, where each card had a meaning that people could interpret to fit the question or situation. However, underneath it all, there is a progression that fits Joseph Campbell's hero's journey, from childhood to adulthood, to independence from parents, to emotional maturity, to spiritual awakening. There are 22 major arcana cards. The first card, number 0, is the person who comes innocently into the world in a leap that is really our birth. This card is called the Fool, who gains wisdom, knowledge, experience as life is lived. Then there are 21 cards. Tarot scholars have different ways of grouping them, but they all acknowledge that there is a path from childhood to departure and becoming an adult, maturation and personality development, to an initiation process and transpersonal opening, and finally to rebirth, redemption, and wholeness. Rachel Pollack's understanding of them points to the hermetic basic concept that we do not know our true selves, that we lived in a kind of exile from our homeland of our general spiritual being. By following the fool's journey or the hero's journey, we can progress from that dream world, wake up, and find our truth as a spiritual being in the cosmos. let's look at the 3 rows of 7 cards. Some say that the cards 1 to 7 are about our physical growth and way of being in the world. Others use it to describe it as the outer problems and concerns of life. Growing up, dealing with our parents and society, love, and as the chariot represents, making our way in the world. The second line involves self-knowledge and transformation. We may realize that the life we are living is not working and search for the answer of who we truly are. Today, our culture looks to therapy, self-development workshops, and self-help books, TED Talks to find our essential nature. Older cultures made this about initiation, where we go through a spiritual death and a rebirth, as shown in card 13 and 14. In order to do that, we need to dig deep into our unconscious, and that is what the second line is about. The third level of the major arcana concerns the cosmos, beyond our narrow goal of self-improvement, self-knowledge. That is why the final card is called the world in most decks, the development of spiritual awareness. Altogether, there are usually 78 slides. They include the numbers 1 to 10. Air is usually represented by swords. Fire is represented by wands, water by cups, bowls, or chalices, and earth by stone, pentacles, or coins. There are also court cards, reminiscent of our usual playing cards: page, knight, queen, and king. When I use the cards, I find that asking the right question matters. I often pick a card of the day rather than beginning my day with journal writing or meditation. I ask big questions. How can I succeed today in every way? What does the best of me look like today? Who or what guides me today? What is the source of my inspiration today? How can I be a living embodiment of the sacred? What deeper, larger learning would be helpful for me to be aware of today? There is no one right interpretation of a card. I think that's where spirit comes in, unlocking the unconscious, listening to our deep selves. For example, I asked, what am I on earth to share? And I drew the moon. I immediately thought of diving into the waters of the deep unconscious. So how does that answer the question? Let's see. For the past 20 years, I have been facilitating groups that do just that. Tarot card circles, finding personal meanings in ancient stories, creating rituals for empowerment, and etc. When I have asked, what does the best of me look like today? I have repeatedly drawn the sun. For me, it's about being vulnerable, putting myself out there instead of shrinking back into my normally introverted self. Find those small moments of joy, of gratitude, gather my energy and use it to do something of meaning. Preparing for this service, I asked the cards, what should I talk about today? The card that I drew was the Knight of Cups, who speaks to me of opportunity, dreaminess, a time to look inside of myself. He is holding a cup, which may represent the undertaking of a project which holds some emotional or creative value to you. So I'll add that I've used tarot creatively in many ways other than readings. At a birthday party, where everyone picks a card and uses it to grant a blessing to the birthday person. Focus for meditation. Role playing, where I answer my own question aloud as if I were the person in the card, and someone may write down what I say. And at an informal memorial service where I laid out all the cards and asked people to consciously choose a card which will help them speak of one aspect of the deceased. I've also used them in reverse, where I consciously chose and created collage cards to fit the outcome I wanted. Then, my desired outcome was to release a fear of snakes and feel more empowered. I've also done this with standard tarot cards, but that time I wanted to really put some effort into visualizing what I needed to release, what my strengths were, what steps to take, etc. I've also used tarot to help people in their own lives. My approach is that I don't know all the answers. I am not psychic. What I do know is that finding the right questions to ask is the key. And again, I trust spirit to help me find the questions. And the cards talk, and the querent might find meaning in them. And then maybe I'll add a second opinion. Tarot cards help us to learn to trust ourselves. In all my years of teaching tarot, I've had people who never looked at cards before amaze me with their personal interpretations. They are a portal into the unconscious mind. We learn which of our inner voices to trust. We learn to let spirit talk to us and through us. It's time for our second hymn, which is I've Got Peace Like a River. I believe we will be saying it, I believe Bethany will be playing it for 4 verses. The closing words today come from Joseph Campbell. We have not even to risk the adventure alone, for all the heroes of all time have gone before us. The labyrinth is thoroughly known. We only have to follow the thread of the hero path. And where we had thought to find an abomination, we shall find a God. Where we had thought to travel outward, we will come to the center of our own existence. Where we had thought to be alone, we shall be with all the world.
I will now extinguish our chalice and sound our closing bell.
May we find the courage to revel in the experience of the mystery. May we approach the unknown. May we approach the unknown with the excitement, even if we can only muster a tiny bit. May we celebrate the curiosity that leads to searching. May we meet ourselves along the way and love us unapologetically. Blessed be. Amen.